The rain hadn't stopped since morning. It came down in quiet, steady sheets, the kind that blurred the world and made everything feel distant. Marcus Hayes stood before a white marble headstone, the engraved name of his son, Ethan Hayes, 2008-2021, catching drops that trickled down like tears. His black umbrella barely shielded him, but he didn't care. Every week for 3 years he had come here, same day, same hour, to talk to a boy who would never answer again. He whispered, voice cracking, "You would have been 17 now, champ. I still keep your room the same." His hand trembled as he placed a folded photo, a father and son at a baseball game, at the base of the grave. He turned to leave but froze. A few steps away, near another headstone, knelt a young black woman holding a small girl close. The child's tiny hands were pressed together in prayer, her soft sobs breaking through the sound of the rain. Marcus hesitated. There was something painfully familiar about the way the woman wept, the quiet strength behind her grief. He couldn't look away. The little girl, maybe 5 or 6, had a pink raincoat and curly hair clinging to her cheeks, her brown eyes wide and sorrowful. The woman, maybe late 20s, early 30s, wore a soaked gray coat, her dark curls hidden under a scarf, her eyes red but composed. She looked like someone who'd known too much loss for her years. When the woman finally noticed Marcus, she straightened slightly, embarrassed. "I'm sorry," she murmured, voice trembling. "We didn't mean to disturb anyone." Marcus shook his head. "You're not," he said quietly. Then after a pause, "Was it someone close?" The woman nodded, clutching the little girl tighter. "Her father," she whispered. "He was a soldier. She doesn't remember much, but she misses him every day." Marcus's throat tightened. "I lost my son," he said softly. "Car accident. Drunk driver." For a long moment they stood in silence, the rain the only sound between them. Then the little girl looked up at Marcus with tear-filled eyes and said, "Mister, do you think my daddy can see me from heaven?" The question hit Marcus like a storm. His lips parted, but no words came out. He knelt down slowly, meeting her eyes. "Yes," he said finally, his voice shaking. "He sees you every single day, and he's proud of you for being brave." The girl smiled faintly, her innocence piercing through the gloom. The woman's eyes welled again, not just from pain, but from the warmth of being understood. "Thank you," she whispered. "People don't usually stop, they just walk past." Marcus looked at the headstones around them, rows of grief, each one with a story no one knew. "Sometimes," he said softly, "people are too scared to look at someone else's pain, maybe because it reminds them of their own." The woman exhaled slowly, as if releasing something heavy. "You're right." She extended a hand. "I'm Alana. This is my daughter Zuri." He shook her hand gently. "Marcus." They spoke for nearly an hour under the gray sky. About loss, about what it meant to keep living after your heart was torn out. Alana told him about how her husband, Malik, was killed overseas, how Zuri sometimes dreamed he'd come back and knock on their door. Marcus told her how Ethan's laughter still echoed in the house he couldn't bring himself to sell. When the rain finally began to ease, Marcus noticed something strange, a tiny stuffed bear sitting near Alana's husband's grave. It was identical to the one he had buried with Ethan. He looked closer, stunned. The tag had the same initials embroidered on it, E.H. "Where did you get that bear?" Marcus asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Alana blinked, confused. "This? It was given to me by a nurse at St. Mary's when Zuri was born. She said it was left behind by a family who lost a child and wanted it to bring comfort to someone else." Marcus's breath caught in his chest. "That was my wife," he said hoarsely. We donated Ethan's things to the hospital. She said she wanted them to keep helping people somehow." The realization hung heavy between them. The same bear that once comforted his dying son had found its way into the hands of a grieving mother and her daughter. Tears welled in Alana's eyes as she gently touched the bear's worn fur. "Then maybe," she whispered, "your son's still helping people. Maybe that's why we met today." Marcus looked up at the sky, the clouds parting just slightly, letting through a faint ray of light that touched both graves. His lips trembled into a faint, broken smile. "Maybe it is," he said softly. Zuri tugged at his sleeve. "Mr. Marcus, can we visit your boy too? So my daddy won't be lonely?" That simple, innocent question shattered the last wall inside him. He nodded slowly, unable to speak. Together, they walked over to Ethan's grave. Zuri placed a small white flower beside his photo, whispering something only she and Heaven could hear. For the first time in years, Marcus didn't feel alone. As they stood there, three souls bound by loss, something unspoken passed between them, a quiet promise that pain could lead to connection, and grief to grace. The rain stopped completely, and the sunlight spilled across the grass, catching the names carved into stone. 2 graves, 2 families, one small miracle of fate. Marcus looked at Alana and Zuri and said softly, "Maybe we were all meant to find each other." Alana smiled through her tears. Maybe that's how healing begins. And for the first time in 3 years, Marcus walked away from his son's grave, not with emptiness, but with something like peace.